Hi, Tony Celso here. Welcome to Zipline. You know, we have a great opportunity to really showcase some of Indiana's greatest independently owned, high growth businesses that are really doing some dynamic things in serving, the general public. And Martin George with Language Training Center is got a very unique value proposition right here in Indiana, Fortune 5000 company, or Inc. 5000 company, I should say. Martin, how'd you get going? What does Language Training Center do? What was this? What started this whole mess?
Well, I'm glad you said Indiana, because one of the things, I was sitting in my office at IUPUI, director of the ESL program, and I was getting all these calls from like Lilly and Roche and Dow, and they said, we got to send our people to Cincinnati and Chicago. We can't find any place in town that does corporate language training. I mean, of course, academic language training is one thing. We've all done the fuiste fue, fuimos fueron, fill in the blank. Right. But they needed it for work. I mean, they needed to be serious about. They didn't have 2 years, to say, I need a beer. Right. They needed to get at it. Yeah. And so I saw that. Go ahead. So there was a big gap. And, I said, let's do this at IUPUI. Academia really does academia. Right. And so, I saw the opportunity and just put out my shingle 20 years ago. So you like a lot of, entrepreneurs, you saw an opportunity, you leap, and that led you to cultural relevancy, to consulting. The company's really exploded just out of language training. Talk to us about what else you guys do. Yeah, that's a good thing. I mean, really, CQ, we all know IQ. Tony, you have a high IQ. Mine's, really small. But, we have IQ, we have EQ, and then maybe my EQ's high. And then we have CQ, which is cultural quotient. And so really what we found is that every company wants a one-stop shop. They don't want to go somewhere for translation, somewhere for interpreting, somewhere for language training, and somewhere for cross-cultural training. So what we really did is said, hey, we're in the Mecca of the heartland of America. Yeah, this is the most diverse city in America, isn't it? So we should do everything. Right. And actually, that's a joke, obviously, but we're trying to raise the awareness. We do 30% government, 50% really Fortune 1000 companies, and the other 20%, which is our sexy part, is professional sports. And so, every day we're seeing people who come in, we work with Major League Baseball, and they have 30-some% Latin players who really come here. They know how to play baseball. They know how to speak some language to be on the field. But culturally, there's some dissonance between them and the managers, them and the trainers, them and the fans and sponsors. Right. And so you've got a couple of different things there. You got workforces that management needs to relate to in a way that makes sense, right? You've got expansion into global markets that, if you can really crack the code, could change the destiny of organizations. And that's really the high level stuff that you do. The language training is just kind of the tip of the iceberg, right? Below the waterline is where you guys really start to show how you're different from your competition and how you really can leverage that opportunity, both connecting with your employees or connecting to markets to do some pretty amazing things. Talk to us about a couple examples. Well, yeah, I think you're exactly right, because the entree might be, Tony, you want to learn some Chinese because you have a trip to China. Mm-hmm. But really, let's say you wanted to take your company to China and you said, I might be able to go alone. And we had a company here locally called MWM Acoustics. They were bought out last year or 2 years ago by Harman, little $4 billion company in Connecticut, because these guys made microphones, and they came to us about 7 years ago. And we started saying, well, when you're in China, do you know you have to give a bonus, a couple times a year? Do you know when you approach employees, here's how they're going to work? So we consulted with them. We didn't just teach them the language, but we said strategically, how do you really save money, save time? We worked with Stanley here locally. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was best access. They went to China. They opened up, they maybe bought 3 or 4 companies, and they said, Martin, I think you saved us conservatively $1 million a year, because they just had miscommunication, and it wasn't all language, it was culture. It's not just hold your business card, look me in the eye. I mean, these are big, big things that are big deals. Engineers, really saying, yeah, the quality's there. Yes, we can get production. And then they miss quality. Right. They miss deadlines. I mean, it's costing them lots of real money and real time. And we're saying, here's how to ask questions. Here's how to be culturally relevant. Don't back them in a corner.
Right.
Make sure you keep them to save face. Write your questions. Don't just orally. We're an oral culture here in America.
Mm-hmm.
China, 5,000 years of writing. We said, write your questions down. Give them time to think. Give them time. They're a Buddhist society. Give them time to think how it's going to reflect on, everyone else in the company, let alone the country. And so we really served as a consultant. I mean, $1 million a year is not chump change. Mm-hmm. Language training is good, bread and butter. That's what we do. We do translation and interpreting. But that whole piece, you hit the nail on the head, consulting, is really, I think, where we show our value.
And I think, with the size organizations that you do it for the type of international presences that they have, whether it's the LPGA or it's the Major League Baseball, and I think you guys are working with some of the alternative sports that are coming through. I mean,
WWE.
Right. Helping them understand, how their image and their brand's going to be interpreted in all these other languages, how to market, all those things, leveraging the global opportunity. And then working with them in a way that makes sense through the technology that they have available. I think that's what differentiates you when you're going after some of those businesses. And then you've got good old fashioned. We're billing out of Indiana. We're the middle coast, if you will. So we don't cost as much as the left and the right coast. And you're able to bring that value and still execute for Fortune 500 companies. And that's what makes it different. I think that's why you guys have grown so fast. And I think that's been your success. Do you agree?
I do. And I think one of the things you have to think about really today is, as people are making decisions. So last week I was in New York City, and in New York City, I was there with Major League Baseball, the NBA, National Hockey League, all these players. Mm-hmm. I got back Friday night late. And my wife says, you got to cut the grass and clean the house on Saturday. I'm saying, what the hell? What? I could come to work and make a few more dollars than I could pay to have my grass cut or my house cleaned.
Right.
But she wanted me to do it. And I think what's happening, Tony, is a lot of companies say, I can do it on my own in China. I can do it on my own in wherever, fill in the blank, Mexico. What they're missing out on is a value proposition that allows them to gain access to markets in a culturally relevant way. They could Google Translate, but you and I know that that's crap.
Right.
You cannot get professional translation with Google Translate. So they have to believe in their mind. My wife doesn't believe that I'm better at the office working, making money than I am at home cutting the grass. I think she just wants to see my fat butt out there cutting the grass.
Yeah, right. So, I think what you speak to, and this is maybe where we would wrap, is like when you and I have the same kind of challenge, right? Every day we go out there and we work with these larger companies and we're trying to convince them that outsourcing an activity to us that theoretically they could do in-house would be better for them long term. And, we can bring data to support it. We can tell them we make 5 times as many phone calls as they do, like we do. We can tell them that our marketing automation costs 1/10 of what they would pay for. We could tell them that that's all we do every day, 24/6, by 7, right? But they really think, they hold on to this image that if they have somebody that they could put on staff that is doing 1/5 of it, that they do. How do you break that down? How do you get them to understand the value there?
Well, I think it's not easy, is it? Mm-mm. So I think what we try to do is when we go into government clients, we do a lot of work with the Navy. Mm-hmm. So let's say we go then to the Federal Bureau of Prisons or the Army. We try to leverage that relationship. We get references. We even do a white paper. We try to show them the value that another organization had. And we even say, hey, would you take time to speak to these potential customers? I still think there's a lot of head trash in there that people have to get through because they're running 1,000,000 miles an hour. They want to do their business their way, their time. And we're some kind of like outside noise. And they're like, yeah, I get it. But WWE, which was one of those alternative sports, they're coming to Indianapolis June 2nd. Well, they said we're $1 billion organization in North America. but our next $1 billion has to be outside the country.
Right.
So now they go to 19 different countries. John Cena approached us 2 years ago, not even 2 years ago. He's the world champion, the face of WWE. He can now do an interview in Chinese, but more than that, I mean, he's serious. He asks questions. He asks how to not be offensive. He asks what to wear, what colors, what styles, you know. And then in China, if you wear a green hat, it means you've had an affair. So anybody who's wearing a green hat. So we have a company out there that's Midwest that does these little things that go in the fields and plow that are green. I think we all know them. You know, I don't want to mention the company name, but they go to China and give out green hats, and everybody in China goes, you know. And so they need to be told that, you know, they can actually lose business because they don't know what they don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think what I was trying to tee you up for, and what you guys do such a great job of doing, is you teach. You know, you tailor your message and you take control. You're living the Challenger sale, and that's really, you know, that's what our business is about. It's helping create a teaching model, providing insight on the front end allows you what to build trust and the strength of the relationship in order to tell them what to do. Because candidly, you're a better expert at that particular, you know, stovepipe than they are, and they just need to trust you, and they need to get to that place where you can do your job for them, right? I mean, isn't that what it's all about? Get out of my way. Let me show you how to get this done.
Yeah, I think so. And again, people will say, well, I took a trip to Germany when I was in, you know, high school, but they really don't know how Germans make business decisions. They don't know how to close deals. So we're giving them the tools. You know, we're actually telling them, when you sign a contract, when you do this, this is the kind of temperament, you know, the people are going to have that you're going to work with. You have to be able to get over that it's good or bad or right or wrong. People are people, but we're all different. And you got to speak their language, not just literally, but figuratively.
You got to speak their language. Thanks so much, Martin. You've been Zip.
Thanks.